Hello and thank you for joining us today at Distracted by Life. Our podcast is all about making change within yourself and your relationships. We share conversations, stories, and explore ideas coming from our lifelong journey of the high points and especially the low points where we learn to face our fears or cope with pain, loss, and failure. We do this in a discovery quest to establish patterns around our past and understanding whether we are tripping up from our past or being held hostage by it. We work on identifying ways to move forward, aligning our core values, and unlocking the keys to self-awareness, self-acceptance, self-compassion, and letting go of what is not serving you positively in life. A better you is always there, ready to explore in a new world. So let's begin. Just as our Earth is a mix of terrain from grassy hills and rivers to volcanoes and deserts, so it is filled with many types of individuals. While some people are as serene as an ancient forest, others are about as comfortable as a bed of rocks. What happens when one of these people plays a major role in our lives? Perhaps it's a boss, a parent, a friend, a spouse, sibling. How does one stay kind and forgiving and yet keep personal boundaries and a sense of dignity? Here with us is Amal, who will share some of her own perspective on having difficult people as teachers in our life. Welcome, Amal.
Hi, Dan. Glad to be here with you. And yes, I hope sharing some of my wisdom through trial and error would be helpful and maybe perhaps provide some new perspective on looking at difficult people in our life differently. We all have difficult people in our life, including us as well. Others also can see us as difficult personality to deal with. In his timeless book, Don't Sweat the Small Stuff, author Richard Carlson gives us a very helpful strategy for dealing with difficult people. One of the tips he actually shared or he suggested, imagining that everyone is enlightened except for us or, in this case, for you. In other words, we should think of life as a school with ongoing pop quizzes. The teachers are everywhere around us, acting out various scenarios to help push our growth, actually. Behind this simple strategy lies a profound spiritual truth. According to Carlson, you are essentially changing your perception from why they are doing this to me to what they are trying to teach me. I know for myself, I speak for myself. I did used to say when I'm dealing with difficult people or I came across a difficult personality, I always say, why are they doing this to me? That is actually the first question I would ask myself. Later on, without even reading this book actually, or doing research on the topic, later on, eventually, I started to kind of see the wisdom in different areas on my own. And my question shifted from why they're doing this to me to what they're trying to teach me. And a lot of this conversation I actually have because in some perspective, I'm actually a spiritual person. So I do tend to say, what is God is trying to teach me in this scenario, this difficult scenario? And these are the questions I ask myself. So for example, let's say that your boss or your peer randomly throws jabs to make you feel inferior and not good enough for your role or the promotion you got or the position. Instead of taking these insults to heart, imagine them as being sent straight from the universe, as a real flesh and blood life lessons from which you can grow. This is actually your chance to really anchor yourself in the truth of who you are or who you know yourself to be, rather than allowing another person to convince you of false inferiority. Because of it, in reality, it's in the hard times, not the easy times, that our level of growth therefore is actually revealed. And only then we can recognize and strive for higher grounds. Difficult circumstances and difficult people tend to reveal our innermost feelings rather than create them. So we only rise to the occasion and we only find growth in the space when we are going through difficult times, not the easy times. For instance, have you ever actually judged someone for a particular action when you ended up doing that very same thing few years later. I did. Perhaps you had just never been in the situation before or had never experienced that level of temptation. That incident may have occurred in your life to reveal that you do have those same tendencies. They had just never been triggered. When we are forced to actually interact with people who are hard to love, we are given the opportunity to grow exponentially. Employees who must deal with competitive, manipulative coworker, for example, now have a golden opportunity to choose the honest path and to develop a deeper level of faith that everything will work out in the end. I'm living this literally right now. When you are dealing with competitiveness and manipulative coworker or people who are trying to show that they are better than you, you are always trying to see it from a different perspective. And in the end, you have to have faith that things will work out and you will rise above all of this competitiveness and an unhealthy comparison. Parents of children with behavior problems are offered the opportunity to develop patience and deep unconditional love. After all, if we were surrounded by easygoing and adoring people all day long, it would be harder to face or even recognize the hidden inner tendency you might have to look to others for approvals. Or even if everything was always working out for you, you might never have the opportunity to fix your short temper or pessimistic attitude. So these trials and errors and difficult people that are all teachers are teaching us something in our life. And that's where your perception need to be changed, is that when you come across as dealing with difficult personality, look at it from what is the lesson here that need to be learned. When you're judging someone on a specific particular situation, most likely you probably experienced that very same situation that you're judging that person with, but it hasn't been triggered yet. So there is no perfectionism among us. We are all difficult in our own unique ways. My final thoughts in this: when difficult people are really getting to you, try to find a way to be grateful for the lesson. They are here to teach you more about yourself, to push you so that you may grow into the person you were always meant to be. And while it may be more comfortable to lie on a grassy hill and by a lazy river, it is actually the act of conquering a long trail or hiking a large high mountain that we might find our inner strength and experience true growth. With that said, that's all I have for today. I hope you find this helpful. Thank you for tuning in. Until next episode, you make the journey worthwhile. Back to you, Dan.
Thanks, Amal. And thank you very much for joining us here at Distracted by Life. If you're interested to learn more, check out our other podcasts, of course, or hop online to Amal's website at amalcandido.com, where she talks about her coaching world, covering life, leadership, and mindfulness, including links to popular podcasts and to her books as well. With that said, stay tuned for our next episode. And from Amal and myself, thanks again, and talk to you soon.